You guys ready?
Ready.
What the first couple weeks and everything been like so far with these summer workouts?
It's been amazing. It's pretty surreal, just coming to dream school. But I've been super happy with the guys, hanging out with everybody, figuring out everybody's personalities on and off the court, working out with them, seeing how we gel on the court. Overall, it's been everything I've wanted it and more. The guys are amazing.
I guess the personalities of everybody already kind of gelling together. And what have you found out about some of your teammates maybe that you didn't know?
I found out that a couple of them are a lot more gym rats than I thought, for sure. And I love that because I'm a gym rat myself. So coming up late nights, it's like, okay, all right, got a couple guys that want to come in late night. But then just off the court, just guys just want to hang out, just chill. Have fun, play video games, just talk, do whatever. So, yeah, it's been an amazing experience with these guys.
You said dream school, talking about Kentucky. Just what made it your dream school? What did you know about this place, I guess, before you got here?
Yeah, so I mean, it's just as a kid watching basketball growing up, it was always just like, you had like the Duke, you had Kentucky, you had Kansas. And I only saw blue growing up, so I was just like, oh yeah, like, gotta go to a blue blood school. I'm like, oh yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. Then it never came at first, disappointed, but I mean, where I'm at now is just full circle, and I think me and my pops, we talk about that, because I like a list on top of my bed of like 8 schools I want to get off from. I got absolutely none. But Kentucky was on one, so I guess I will go back and find that paper and cross it off, because it is definitely amazing to be here. But yeah, I saw guys like Fox go here. I saw the Harrison twins go here. I saw, like just Texas guys going to blue blood school. So I just always kept up with them and watched, blue bloods, and especially Kentucky.
Your dad said in the previous interview that those 3 guys specifically kind of mentored you, or you grew up in a gym watching them. So what was that kind of relationship?
I mean, it was cool. I mean, I never really, I feel like now at this stage I'll probably talk to him a little bit more, but just growing up, it was just me always being a little kid watching these superstar idols that I just loved watching, like just at the time. And it was just, it's always cool to know that I'm following their footsteps, doing something a little bit right. So, seeing them and now being here, it's cool.
There's a chance you're going to be able to go against them when they come up here for the
definitely.
TBT, right?
Yeah, I'm excited for that. We're just talking about how we got to be ready to, beat them in a couple of weeks when we play them. So I'm super stoked for that.
Every point guard's game's a little different. Andrew's obviously a big guy. De'Aaron's fast. This can be kind of describe your style as a point guard.
I just say cool, calm, collected playmaker who just, wants to make his teammates better, but at the same time is always a threat to just do everything on the court. I want to really tap in this year and just be able to do everything at a very high level, play defense at a high level, distribute at a high level. I definitely want to get that up a lot more. And then, just be a really good leader. And I feel like these guys have really helped me, see that is possible. And, with the coaching staff and everything, with the way that we play, it's definitely feeding into that for sure.
What was Coach Pope's message to you kind of through the transfer process about maybe how you fit here and how he could maybe bring out more of your game, or with that position?
He brought me on So the first time I met him, he was meeting me at my hotel in Minnesota. Like the second day I got there, I transferred. He was at my hotel like the next day. I was so surprised. I was not thinking anything was gonna like that. But he came up there and he was just basically telling me the plan of how I would fit into his system, how much he wants to help me get better, how the guys around, it'd be a joy to play with them at their high level, and then putting on the Kentucky name is just it's second to none. And at least to me at the time, I was like, that sounds amazing. I'm still focused on NBA right now. That's the first plan. But I'm like, man, this feels pretty comfortable. If I want to go to college and time crap, I'm like, man, yeah, I gotta go to Kentucky, man. It's the only option right now.
What's that relationship been like with, I guess, the whole coaching staff since you committed? I think Coach McLean was down there at the combine. Maybe some other guys were there. Just how have they kind of welcomed you and brought you in those early few weeks?
I mean, it's been amazing. So first met Pope and Coach Brooks when they first came to see me in Minnesota. Then I went to the combine and I saw guys like Andrew Carr. I was with Amari in a workout. I seen Lamont, like just being around those guys even for a quick conversation. It's like, yeah, you're gonna do amazing. You're gonna love it every second of being there. Just the culture, the atmosphere, and just being present at that school is going to be amazing. And then I've got the rest of the coaching staff like Jay Hart, Coach Fox, Coach McKell, like all those guys bring energy and just pour everything they can into us each and every day. So everybody's been amazing so far. I have no complaints for nothing.
And then you play with guys like Blake Henson, Lowe Carrington, and all that. They can make plays. You got 10 guys now on this roster that can make those same plays. You talk about how the vision for you and how much more efficient you can become with all these wins.
I mean, it's. I feel like naturally it's just going to help. Just being around a lot of really good guys at a high level that can do playmaking, score at will. It's just going to just naturally open the game up for myself. But at the same time, I'm knowing that the way that I play and the way that I'm preparing myself is just going to make everything easier for everybody else at the same time.
I've not been to a practice, but the reports that have come out is that you're really excelling in practice. First of all, I guess, why is that? But what is it about your game that allows you to go ahead and take that leadership role early on?
I guess people want to say I'm excelling, but I mean, I love playing basketball, man. I love coming to work every day and just hanging out with my guys, going out and playing the sport I love, and then also being at Kentucky. I mean, it's definitely, just being here and seeing the culture, fans coming up to me, and I haven't even gone and played a game yet. The school year hasn't even started, so I just see it and I enjoy it, and I guess that's just who I am. I come and show up every day, put in my work. It's something that I love, and I'm also seeing that these guys are putting in the work, and they just want to get better. And we always talk about how we want to win a championship, so you got to build the right habits in order to achieve that level, and it starts 3 weeks ago.
Another Texas guy, Tyrese Maxey, he was famous for starting the Breakfast Club here at Kentucky a few years ago. Like this, he was a gym rat as well. Where do you kind of get that mentality where you said you always want to be in the gym?
I mean, that's from where I grew up. My dad was an AAU coach when I was born. My godfather is John Lucas. I was born in the gym. I went 3 times a day, 6 a.m., 12, 5 o'clock. That's just what I do, and it's just naturally built in me. And it's amazing to see that a lot of these guys have that built into them also. And yeah, just it's what I love. I ain't got nothing else to do right now. I mean, Lexington's a beautiful city, but man, it ain't no Houston.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, it's just the gym and the crib right now, and hanging out with these guys.
What's the most difficult part of this transition for a point guard? I mean, obviously you spent 2 years at Pitt. You get to know your teammates, get to know the system. Now, what's the most difficult part of that move?
I wouldn't say it's really difficult. I just, you're just going into a new system with some new guys, and it's like you just got to figure out, how everybody acts, what they like, what makes them grind their gears and what makes them go. And I feel like that's just fun. I feel like as a point guard, that's what you got to do at any level. And yeah, I mean, that's just been fun, just figuring out what everybody likes, what they like to do on and off the court. It's my job, and I'm here for it.
What was the NBA process like, and then what did you hear from them about maybe things they wanted to see you work on?
The process was good. I had a really great time. The workouts were amazing. Talking with, meeting with NBA GMs and everything, all of that was amazing. Those guys are just basically telling me, like, if you want to reach this level at the level that we know you can reach it at, man, just go back, win a national championship. Hey, that's it. Just go. But overall, what I heard was just Jaland, go be the best point guard and player that you can be. Help pour into others. Help make guys around you better, and go win at the highest level. And that's exactly what I want to do. I didn't need them to tell me that. I wanted to come in here and win a championship anyways.
What does draft night do to you, seeing Pope with 2 guys in the league and say, hey, if I kind of follow in their footsteps as a portal guy, I can be there this time next year?
I mean, draft night is everything. So, I mean, even just my freshman year, I went to the draft because my teammate Bub was getting drafted. And it was a couple of us, and we were just sitting there like, yo, like, we're this close. And that just in itself is amazing. And then seeing, like, now being at Kentucky and seeing Pope having more guys, it's like, we got Kentucky across our chest. We know what it means to get drafted and, have NBA guys. So we know what it means, and we're super excited for that next level, but we're just more prepared now to just try and figure this team out and this summer out so that we know that will come when need be. But we're just focused on, just having fun and getting ready to win a championship because we came up short last year, so we don't want to do that no more. Plus Zell, he's got a chip, but we already got a thing with Zell. He's like, all right, man, you got to be the first player in history to win it with two different teams. So we talk about it all the time, how ready we are to win a chip.
What does he tell
See
you?
from his game, from Zell's game, and how might you two complement each other with maybe some different styles out there?
Yeah, so I didn't like Zell at first, actually. I hated Zell because I played on my freshman year at Florida, and that really was my wake-up call to college basketball. I went out there and I tried to give him a little bump. He came into the game. He did not move at all, and I went backwards. So, and then they beat us. I think ended up beating like 30. But Zell, since that day, I knew Zell was a strong guard who could do everything. He's got to have the platform to allow that, and he's got more than enough tools to do everything that's required. He can shoot the ball at a very high level. He can make plays. His defense is amazing. So he's got all the tools that's needed.
How excited were you to see? You were already committed, obviously. How excited were you when he joined this, and you knew after playing against him that you had that type of dude in the backcourt with you?
When I saw him commit, I'm like, oh, we got a gem for sure. Because even though he won a national championship, 6 man, all of that, it's just like I don't think guys really knew how good he is. And I feel like, when you have that mutual respect for each other, it's like, okay, now we're working with something we can bounce off each other. And that's been like my best friend since we've been up here.
Does he talk a lot about that championship, and do you all want to hear him talk about that?
Oh, no, he doesn't talk about it too much. We talked about it for the first couple of days, and it's like, all right, now we're on to how we want to talk about our championships and how we need to do things around here. And of course, that's a huge moment for him, but he doesn't really seem to bring up that moment. He always talks about how he wants to do it over here now, and that's the goal, that's the objective.
You kept up with Jasper at all, making this run?
Oh yeah, definitely. I hit him the other day. I told him good luck. Told him just do his thing out there. I'm super proud of him right now for sure.
What do you think about his game?
I love Jasper. He's good. Off the court, he's probably the funniest person I've been around. I'm not gonna lie. He's a little kid for sure. He's got a lot of energy. That's amazing to have around here. So he's been amazing. He's a naturally gifted player, and that's something that you can't deny at all. And then seeing him come in here first week and just have fun and just play his game and not really succumb to the other guys while we're playing. It's just fun to see because that kid is super confident. He's super talented. And he's going to be ready for a big year for sure.
Are you saying this just because he's left-handed?
Oh, yeah, partially. Yeah. Gotta love the lefties.
Is he strong enough yet physically to be ready to go this year and help you guys?
Oh, yeah, definitely. At any level, if you can play, you can play. I don't think you have guys that's all different shapes and sizes. If you can hoop, you can hoop.
How much do you think it's going to help him specifically to have guys like you, guys like Zell, guys like Otega to kind of look up to as a freshman this season?
It's going to help a lot because, like my freshman year, I looked up to older guys and leaned on them when I didn't really know what was going on. And, now having gone through that and seeing where he is, the talent-wise and everything like that, I feel like we're just going to help him go to another level, compete with him every day, bring the best out of him. And he's going to bring the best out of us too, because as young as he is, even though he's a freshman, he's going to come back and he's going to bark at us too. So it's going to be some battles for sure, but he's going to be more than ready.
I'm sure you've been asked this already, but what drew you to Kentucky from the transfer portal?
Really that I wanted to win a championship. I wanted to wear Kentucky across my chest, and I wanted to play with these group of guys around me. I felt like I really couldn't ask for more. That's all I really want to do. I have not played in the tournament in my 2 years of college basketball, and to know that I can go from not playing in a tournament to competing for a national championship is everything and more that I wanted, but then also playing in front of a culture like none other. These fans are amazing. I've learned that it's not just people who are saying, yeah, they're really crazy, they're amazing, they're like the next level of whatever. I've loved this, and it's everything I've dreamed of. But then at the same time, it's like these guys around me just make everything better, at the end of the day, it's about who you're doing this with, and these guys have been more than welcoming and fun for this process.
Last year, you had the offense pretty much on your shoulders with Bub going to the NBA. Are you excited to not have to try to score 20, 30 every single game and just kind of be more of a point guard since you have so many talented teammates?
Oh yeah, for sure. See, a lot of people got it mixed up that Jaland Lowe just loves to shoot the ball and jack stuff up. No, I love passing the ball. I've always told people I get more joy in an assist than scoring a basket my whole life. I've been a point guard. That's what I am. I mean, I know how to score the ball at a really high level still, so people don't get that twisted. But I love passing the ball, and that's always been natural for me. So being able to do that here would just, I feel like, make everything open up.
Kind of on that note, how do you expect your shot profile to change with more talent around you?
I just feel like, just the way that our offense is, we got a lot of guys who can, shoot the ball when need be, make a play on their own. So, just having naturally other really gifted guys, you just can sit back sometimes and just like, here. And that's just what it is. Sometimes you got guys like Ortega, who's the leading scorer last year. You give it a guy like that, but I go to work sometimes. But at the same time, with just how I play, everybody can just, I feel like I just fit into anywhere, just play with anybody because it's fun and it's basketball and it's just Reece at the end of the day.
Did you ever? This backcourt came together because obviously when you committed, you didn't know if Ortega was coming back.
Yeah.
You didn't know if maybe people might jump in the portal. Zell wasn't committed. Just as it all happened, what was your thought process? And now that it's over, where does this backcourt
Number
look
one
like?
in the country. I think we're the best backcourt in the country for sure. Once we get our guy Jasper back too, having everybody on the court at the same time, just competing every day, I feel like the pieces that we have, we can compete and win at the utmost level. And I'm loving this group. I know when I was committed and my dad would just be talking about different guys that they're trying to bring us, like, okay, yeah, we're working for sure. Like it's been amazing. I'm loving these guys.
Was there ever a time you didn't like going to the gym with your dad? Was there ever a time he had to force you to go?
Plenty of times, man. That's what I tell people. Like I tell people all the time. Like I love basketball, but I also love not playing basketball. That's like. There's a good balance. Like I work hard every day, but there's days that I don't want to go to the gym, that I gotta go to the gym still. So I feel like that's just natural for everybody, and even just like work. You don't want to go every day. You got stuff to do.
Even when you just were little and you really weren't working, you just were kind of having to wander around and dribble.
Oh no, when I was a kid, it was natural. I wanted to be there every second of the day. I dribbled in the house. Mom getting on me, talking about stop dribbling the ball in the house. But it's still the same today. Like I love being in the gym. It's just the only thing that's on my mind. That's just how I move. I don't really focus on too much. I got too much going for me outside of basketball. It's just like it's what I need to do.
Do you have any other hobbies outside of the sport?
Hobbies? I mean,
Fortnite.
Fortnite for sure. Fortnite for sure. Definitely do that. I like the video game. I feel like I'm a big movies or a TV show type of guy, but then some people around campus might just catch me on the wall. I feel like a lot of people when I first came the first week were like, Jalen, you want to walk? You can get a manager to bring you. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. I'm gonna go walk and enjoy the scenery and go enjoy this hot weather that everybody's complaining about.
What were your first impressions of Coach Pope when you guys made contact, and has any of that changed since then, or have there been any surprises about him?
No, so the first time I made any contact with Coach Pope was when I want to say, was it, don't let it be the night that I first put my name in the portal. I think it was the first night I put my name in the portal. I got a phone call from Coach Pope, and me and my dad, after we hung up the call, was like, this has to be the most energetic, most loving of the game guy ever. Like, he really loves what he does, and he pours that into us all the time. And you can just see that. He's a super amazing guy, one of the nicest people we will probably ever meet, most genuine guy. So that hasn't changed at all.
Even during conditioning, you feel the
not
same
at all.
way.
No, not at all. He'll watch us. He'll cheer us on from the side and tell us, come on, like, you got to go get this. He'll challenge us for sure. And he expects the best out of us, which, this is amazing from a coach.
You obviously withdrew from the NBA draft. What feedback did you get from scouts that you want to apply here at Kentucky?
I really just want to, play make at a really high level, and I just want to win. I feel like, winning solves everything. And with how I play, the skill level that I have, and the guys that are here, I feel like just winning will take care of everything.
Mo City kid. Obviously, everyone knows Texas for football, but they got some pretty good hoopers as well. De'Aaron Fox, Jason Wallace, even Trey Johnson just went in the lottery. So talk a little bit about Texas basketball.
Texas basketball is amazing. We got a lot of, really great guys that are making it big right now. And, we're just, Texas is one of them states that's like, all right, you're going to have some players out of there that's going to come and get with you every night. So it's been amazing to see that these guys that are making it at the highest level winning. You got Kaysen, congrats to him for sure for just winning a chip. That's amazing. And then you got guys like Trey who just got drafted the other day. So these Texas guys is making it big right now for sure.
You know that meme with Shaq where he's saying, I wasn't familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Has there been one of your new teammates since that you've been like, wow, I didn't know much about this guy?
Trent Noah. Trent Noah might be the best shooter I've ever seen. And I play with a really good shooter in Blake Henson. But Trent Noah, he can shoot the living out the ball. He can really shoot. I love TN.
Obviously, playing in the ACC the last 2 years. Last year wasn't maybe great. They only had about 3 good teams, I would say. But what are you expecting maybe from the SEC switching over to maybe the best conference in basketball?
Just a battle each and every night. I mean, that's what I came over here for, to play the highest competition level at, day in and day out. That's just like the NBA. You play the best of the best every day. So why not do it over here? Test that, and we'll get ready and we'll see what we're made of.
Have you been able to talk to Denzel, talk to Mo about what they should expect from these SEC arenas, these fans, these coaches?
I've definitely talked to them a little bit about it, and just seeing, picking their heads about what it's like to have a battle each and every night, what the crowds are like. We've got into it a lot about that, and just I think we'll be prepared when the time comes, especially just having these guys that's transferred in, and their expertise, and Zell and Mo, it helps a lot just coming from different SEC schools.
How much 5-on-5 scrimmaging have you guys done so far in these early practices?
We've done a good bit, and I want to let it be known right now that my team beat Otega's team first week. Let it be known, all the cameras, y'all can put this everywhere, because we're gonna play pickup again real soon. And I want the same teams that we did that first week, because they was up 2-0 and we beat them 4-2. And I'm going to let everybody know that. And Ortega hears it from me all the time.
Who's your team?
My team, it was me, Colin, Mo. The bigs kind of switched in and out because it was uneven team. So sometimes I had Reece. Sometimes then I had Braden. So it was us rocking out there. So yeah, so me, Colin, Mo. Then one of the bigs, and then Braden.
So Mo with the 3?
Mo's wherever.
Interchangeable. What have been your impressions of him just on the court, his game?
He's a dog, man. Really strong. He has a really good feel for the game. Just being in the right spots, knowing where everybody's supposed to be at. Super athletic. Might be one of the best rebounders that I've been around. Just off sheer will, not even anything else. Just the fact that he's going to beat you because of his mindset.
Who's been the toughest when you get past that first line of defense on the perimeter? Who's the toughest guy to finish against that you've seen on this team so far?
I'm not gonna lie. Old blocked me pretty bad one time. Mally hit me bad one time. Those 2 guys have definitely been. And then Braden's got some real length, so it's like he's a little tough all around, even if he's just on ball. He's really long, so it's hard to deal with a guy like that sometimes. But all these guys are super athletic, so it's like, you got to be careful. Even like, you see Colin, it's just like, oh yeah, Colin, he finna get up, so you better be careful too. So, I mean, everybody is just super athletic in general. So
talking about getting your shot blocked, can you even imagine, are you ready for when Jaden gets back, all Big 12 defensive guy?
Man, he's been talking crazy to us. He's like, y'all lucky, I'm going to be out here blocking y'all shots too. He's like, y'all know I was leading the country in blocks before he got hurt. It was like, yeah, we'll see when you get out here. You're going to have to prove it to us. But nah, he's with just how he is as a person, how naturally, he is, just in his body, where it's like, yeah, that guy's going to be really special. Just the way hands are huge, length, you know, just a big body. So that's going to be amazing when he comes back, and I'm ready to play one-on-one against him.
What do you think about Braden, the guy that kind of joined you guys late, wasn't afraid to come in with a roster already loaded?
He's his length. He got really good length. He's got really good size. He's got a good feel for the game. He can score. He can shoot. So having him, I think the first impression of him was like, wow, like you might see his frame and think that he's a little too skinny, but he makes up more with just his length and, you know, just being able to contest shots, block shots at a very high level.
One more.
Pope said you're 92nd percentile in difficult shots. How do you balance taking the tough ones, hitting the big time shots, while also kind of getting the efficiency where you want to be?
I think it'll just be natural with the way that I have these guys around me this year in the offense that we play. But like, and I know a good bit of what I don't want to shoot anymore.
Has he talked about playing off 1 feet and 1 foot and 2 feet yet?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's a huge part. 2 feet is what we love. Might catch me going off one every now and then. But 2 feet is what we love, and I love doing that because my favorite guard in the NBA is Jalen Brunson. And he's the king of 2 feet, so I study him all the time. So they've definitely been implementing the 2 feet for sure.
The college basketball game, they just announced it was coming back. What were your thoughts on that, and what would be your overall
Was that the
rating?
text that I got?
Yeah.
I got a text in the group chat. I think they sent like an NCAA something. We're getting a basketball game?
It's in
2028
though, but it's right. It's coming. But if it were coming out this year, what would be your overall? Right.
I gotta be humble. Overall rating, I give myself like a. All right, what would y'all put O at? What would y'all put O at?
At
95, maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
95?
Yeah.
Man, I'm not finna do that. I'm gonna say a 91. If y'all playing O at a 95, I'm playing. Huh?
Reece said he was 99.
Reece is playing too much. Reece is playing too much. I put myself at like a 91. I got all the tools to be good in NCAA. Dang, why couldn't they come out this year with it?
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Kid, talk about just getting the opportunity to now put the Kentucky jersey on.
It's been a blast. I mean, it's like everything you dream of as a kid. Like all the stories I've been hearing from past players that I've met and known, that it's unreal experience. And like every day, Trent Noah said it best. Like every time I put the jersey on, it feels special every time. So it never gets old. And I'm looking forward to put on the game jersey. Get inside a Rupp Arena. So that's going to be even more fun.
Now that most of the team's actually on campus, has there been anything that's been surprising about just like the summer training sessions and what this team has kind of looked like gelling together this early?
This team has gelled very well together. Like I feel like we've known each other for a couple years now. I feel like we got a lot of newer guys, and then everybody's like kind of came along a lot together. We've all been supporting each other. Hanging out in each other's rooms, doing different activities. So to grow closer and closer, because that's what it's gonna take to win a national champion. You got to do more than just like the on-court stuff. I mean, obviously you see the on-court stuff. Like we got dudes that can go. So it's the stuff off the court. I think that's gonna make us special and better than everybody else.
How did that process start? When Coach Pope contacted you, or vice versa?
It was kind of wild. So Coach Feger messaged me, and when he reached out, I thought I didn't believe Kentucky reached out to me. I was like, this kind of. I showed my dad. I was actually in Lexington, and I was like, Dad, I think Kentucky just reached out to me, and he was like, Nah, you're lying. Because you have all the coaches that reach out to you once you hit the portal, and then I told him I was interested, and Coach Pope actually FaceTimed me. And I was like, oh my, Coach Pope is FaceTiming me, so it was surreal, but it was very blessed to have that.
When you went into the portal initially, what were you looking for, I guess? Obviously, you were surprised when Kentucky called, so what kind of was your thought process going into the portal and maybe your role you were looking for initially before Kentucky?
For sure. So going into the portal, actually, I had, a lot of talks with my former coaches, we just kept it real with each other. We were saying, I always wanted to play at the highest level. That's always been the goal. So, last couple of years, we've been trying to compete for a MAC championship and compete for upsets and stuff like that, and that's always not kind of been my mindset going into it. I came from a top high school in this state, and so the goal was always the goal isn't to get out of the region. The goal is you're winning state and you're the number one team in the state. So it's always been my mindset. You know, that's always how I like to play basketball. I want to compete against the best people. So, you know, going against, you know, some of the teams we were able to go against last year. I played Indiana last year at Indiana, and that was the most fun I ever had, you know, playing in a packed house, you know, that everybody hated us, and it was the most fun I ever had. So, you know, I was like, I'm just like going for that every time. So, you know, there's no better place to do it than, you know, the best university in the country.
What advice or what would you tell your senior year version of yourself over at Lexington Catholic?
What I tell myself, you don't know much. You know, I'd probably say, you know, coming out of high school, I thought I knew a lot. You know, Coach Salzman did a great job teaching me, but, you know, just like every night I was doing whatever I wanted, to be honest with you. Like nobody was getting my way, you know, until I got to go against like Malachi and them, you know, some great players like that. So that's kind of like the first time I've been like, you know, a college guy. So just put your head down, you know, keep your ears open, and just, you know, these coaches are here for a reason. They get paid, you know, a lot of money. They're here for Kentucky for a good reason. So just listen to what they got to say, pretty much.
Obviously, you do a lot of work with the rest of the bigs on the team. What can we expect from guys like BG and Malachi, or maybe even Jaden, even though he's injured right now?
You should expect a lot, and you're going to get a lot, to be honest with you. You know, we work hard every day. You know, we got a lot of bigs that can go. And so every night, you know, I feel bad for the other bigs because they're going to have to see a bunch of dudes every single night. You know, BG, you know, all of them through the line. You know, we got a bunch of big dudes that can, you know, grab boards, shoot threes. You know, I feel like that's the greatness, like, of this, you know, this big group. We can do a little bit of everything. You know, we can all shoot, we can all pass, we can all be physical. So, you know, I feel bad for the other team because they're going to have to see it for 40 minutes every night.
Obviously, you started summer workouts. What's been kind of the biggest adjustment so far?
I don't know if I would say it's a big adjustment. So I've been in college for a couple of years now, so I kind of knew what to expect and stuff like that. So, like, you know, just, you know, put your head down, work every day. You know, you're not going to feel great every single day. So just putting your head down, working, and, you know, just give it your all every single day to try to get better because, you know, there's always, you know, room to grow.
You've kind of shown what you've been able to do in college thus far at Miami, but what's the next evolution of your game that you're trying to develop now?
No, the biggest thing is, honestly, you know, everybody says is, you know, just getting bigger and stronger, you know, trying to put on some more weight, you know, getting bigger. So, you know, I've already put on some weight, you know, thanks to Randy and B-Wells. They do a great job. You know, we got the best strength coach and trainers in the country, so they've been able to do a great job at that aspect. So I just like the rest of the year just trying to get bigger and stronger and, you know, keep growing my game.
Coach,
on that note, we've heard about some of these film sessions that Pope will do, like especially when kids are in the transfer portal.
Sure.
When he was talking with you when you were going over the film, what were some of the things that he liked that he thought you could bring to Kentucky, and maybe some of the things that he wanted you to improve on coming to Kentucky?
So, you know, there's like obvious, you know, I feel like I shoot the ball at a very high level and I'm able to pass. So those are the things, you know, he really liked. You know, he was able to use Amari Williams and BG last year in like a more of a point center type of way. And so, you know, he kind of fell in love with that. You know, he was able to have some guys like that at BYU, and that's kind of how the game's evolved. You know, the Nikola Jokic is in the passing like that. So he really liked that, and just some other stuff that I got to work on and grow that every day, you know, we're working on. You know, he does a great job. He's very intellectual, like knows what he wants, and, you know, he sees like what he sees in his players, and he doesn't recruit you for a reason. So, you know, just working every day to try to, you know, grow the rest of my game.
So does he see you kind of being a high post type guy who could maybe facilitate a little bit more as well, or is that something you had in your game at Miami?
For sure, that's, you know, definitely something I did at Miami. I want to continue to grow. You know, I got some great players in front of me that do a great job of it, so I'm able to, you know, learn from them and, you know, keep growing my game and practice every single day.
Coach likes to downplay his career, but he did play quite a bit of time in the NBA. How cool is it to literally get one-on-one teaching from a big man who played in the NBA?
Oh, I love it. You know, he was able to do it at the highest level, so it's, you know, it's easy to follow a guy that's done it at that level. So, like, you know, you have coaches that tell you, like, you know, what to do, but you can't really like grasp it at first. So we've been able to grow a quick relationship because, you know, he did it at the NBA, did it in college. You know, he did it at the highest level, and that's the type of level I feel like all the bigs want to go to. So obviously, because we're here for a reason. So all of us trust in him, and so it's easy to, like, you know, listen to what he's got to say.
From here, you know, been around Kentucky basketball most of your life. Is there anything that's been surprising to you since you're now actually on the inside?
Yeah, I don't know how much surprising it would be. You know, I feel like now that I'm more in the moment, you know, it's kind of wild versus, like, you know, looking from the outside. You know, we go to these like camps and stuff like that, and these people just like how much they love Kentucky basketball. It's not just like the fan base is wild. I don't feel like it's just a basketball team. It's more of like a culture like surrounding Kentucky basketball. You know, we were able to go to London, Kentucky, and some different places, and, you know, really learn what it meant to be a Kentucky basketball player. You know, I felt like I knew from, you know, being a Lexington kid, but like I feel like everybody's kind of bought in what it means to be a Kentucky basketball player now. Just hearing from, like, you know, different people's stories that just how much they've loved Kentucky basketball for, you know, how long. And, you know, their parents loved it, their parents loved it. So it's been kind of wild to hear from all those people.
Do you have a favorite UK player all time?
I feel like I have to say Daniel Orton because he trained me for so long. But he can. I'd probably say DeMarcus Cousins, to be honest with you. Just the way he was able to dominate at Kentucky and just how physical he was. And, that was kind of like how I was trying to grow my game at first.
What is your relationship with Daniel Orton? How long have you known him? Kind of what roles he plays?
I've known him probably since like my freshman year of high school. So he moved from Oklahoma here after his playing days. So me and him used to go at each other during practice. Every single morning we used to work out because he was still, that was still during his playing days. So I was able to, learn from him and grow from him. And we have a great relationship. I still talk. I talk to him every single day. So he always calls me just to, tell me to hop on the game or stuff like that. So it's been a great, grown into a great friendship for sure.
Is it different starting your career elsewhere and then coming here?
I don't know how. Honestly, I don't know. So I'd probably say no, to be honest with you. Starting from a different place. I feel like it kind of helped me, grow into the player I am, and I'm so thankful for my last school. So I feel like it helped me really mature versus, coming in as a freshman. I feel like, coming out of high school, I thought like he asked earlier, I thought I knew a lot, and then I was able to, Coach Steele and all of them were able to, teach me a lot. So, coming in as a junior now, I feel like I'm a lot more mature, a lot more open to everything, able to learn a lot more now.
You obviously grew up watching this team, but what do you like about what Mark Pope is trying to do here?
He kind of just says the assignment number 9. I mean, that's what he's trying to do. I don't know. He loves basketball, and that's what he's here to do. He wasn't brought in here to do anything else, and he's already done it before, so he knows what has to be done to do that. So that's kind of what he's brought in.
You mentioned the excitement of that Indiana game. Now you're in the SEC. Is there a way to simulate that within the practices, just the intensity of what the conference schedule will bring?
I'd say 100%. We always say it, we're the deepest team in the country. 1 through 15 guys, everybody can probably play anywhere in the country. So every single day, it's a challenge. Every single day, everybody's trying to bring it. Fighting for spots and stuff like that. Our whole team can go. So it's been fun practicing.
Kind of on that note, I'm sure you had conversations with Pope about having a deeper front court. Did you all talk about, maybe the role might be not what you're expecting first of all, or did you all talk about that?
No, we didn't really go into that, so he, it's pretty much what you produce, you play the best players on the court, it doesn't matter anything else, so, just going on the court every single day and working hard, whether my role is to just sit or play, I don't really care either way, it's my goal is here to, win number 9 and just trying to, grow every single day.
Have you played in Rupp Arena?
I have not played in Rupp Arena, which is honestly very sad. So I feel like, some people that have watched me since high school, I feel like we were the best team in the state every single year. Yeah, embarrassing, but I haven't. So I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Are there any returning players or other newcomers that have surprised you so far?
I don't feel like anybody's really surprised me. I feel like, you see the highlights and that's what you see on the court. So nobody's really surprised me, to be honest with you. Every single guy is just, I feel like the most thing that surprised me is just how great everybody is, how great of dudes are. People come from we have dudes from other single schools, and they're not they're that's in the past for them. They're so bought into the Kentucky basketball. So that's kind of. Coach Pope says it. He recruits culture. He can get anybody in the country. It's Kentucky, so he gets whoever he wants. So how much everybody's loved each other, so fastly. That's probably been the most surprising because I feel like I said earlier, I feel like we've been together for 3 years now. We're all hanging out in the lodge, shooting, doing different stuff, working out each other at night. So that's probably been the most surprising how bought in we are so fast.
When you visualize that first run out at Rupp Arena, what do you think about in your mind what that's going to feel like, especially coming from someone who used to be one of those little kids just idolizing
for sure.
this team?
Yeah, so I used to go to games, and I was always trying to picture how I would be doing that. I wish I could have done that in high school, but I wasn't able to get that opportunity. So it's gonna be a surreal moment. I don't know. I feel like every single game, every time I come out, it's gonna be it's gonna feel like it's new every single time. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Reece, what you want in high school, but how much has your game matured and grown since going to Miami and coming back here? What have you worked on and what have you improved on?
Just trying to get bigger and stronger. In high school I was always tall, but I was a thinner guy. So just trying to get bigger and stronger every single day. Growing my game. Listening, learning from the best. They're college coaches for a reason. So just learning every single day what they got to learn. I've been able to just mature a lot. I feel like.
Can you talk a little bit about having in Kentucky people from the state playing on this roster, and what people know about Kentucky basketball elsewhere?
To be honest, Kentucky basketball, everybody knows us. We're the top university in the country. So I feel like everybody's, seen all these players. You've been able to see like firsthand, the Malachi Morenos, the Jasper Johnsons, but you've been able to see like the other guys through highlights and stuff like that, and that's what they're going to see. Every single day. Every guy, every single day during practice, you see something, you're like, wow, it's kind of wild. So.
Did you watch Jasper in Switzerland?
Yeah, we were able to we all sat around and watched them. So we were able to watch I forgot who they played the first game, but we were able to watch it, and we were able to see the step back, and we were all going nuts for him because that's what we see in practice every single day. We see that Jasper, so I'm really looking forward to watching his game grow. As he matures and gets older, and he's gonna be a first round pick in a couple, this year or next year. So none of that stuff surprises us, to be honest with you. None of that surprises the fans, a little bit probably right now, that shot, but that's what we were expecting of him, and he's gonna have big things this year. So I'm really looking forward to it.
What's the level of talent in practice right now that you guys are competing against each day?
Oh, it's a ton. Like I said earlier, we're the deepest team in the country, so every single guy, every single day, everybody brings it. So I feel like it is an SEC game every single day in practice. Every guy is, going as hard as possible, and our coaches push us every single day. And I feel like the biggest thing right now is we push each other. I feel like that's what, it's going to make us a national championship, how much we gel off the court and how much we push each other. We're in the gym every single night shooting with each other, working out, playing one-on-one and stuff like that. And so, different open gyms and stuff like that. So, really looking forward to, actually competing against other people. I've got, it's getting tiring going against each other. I'm looking forward to, versing other guys.
We talk a lot about, what the guys can do scoring-wise, but what can you say about the defense that you've seen so far?
We're going to be the best defensive team in the country, I'd probably say. We got guys, I'm not even going to list people. We've got the whole team. But, we got all guys that, we got a lot of length and, shot blocking. And I feel like 1 through 5, it's going to be a battle. Who's going to be the defensive player of the year in the SEC? Because, it could probably be anybody. So I'm looking for, teams are going to have a tough time. We can score the ball and we can defend, So I feel like that's, recipe for success.
Reece, I understand you were super close to committing to North Carolina and Kentucky call. Can you talk about the emotion when you got that call and maybe how easy that decision was, even though it's so deep into the transfer period?
It was fairly easy. So, when they called, my immediate reaction was, all right, let me just call Coach Pope right now back and say, let's be done with this. But, I wanted to take my time, coming, being a Lexington kid, I knew how much it meant, to put on the jersey. And so in my back of my mind, I always knew this is the place I wanted to go to. But, I try to give the other schools a chance, but, I always knew I wanted to come here. And, it's been a blessing for sure.
When that was announced, how much did your phone or your social media blow up with people?
It was wild. So it was actually the night before it started blowing up. So I don't know how it got out. If anybody wants to let me know, I'd love to know. So I told one of the managers, who was one of my best friends, Miller Williams, and I was like, hey, I'm coming here. I told Malachi, Jasper, because I've had a great friendship with them for a couple years now. They're great dudes, and I told them I'm coming. They were like, finally, because they were, for like a week. Malachi and Jasper was like, if you don't commit right now, we're gonna come to your house. And I was like, all right, I'll just give me a minute. So I committed. So I called Coach. He was so excited, and I just loved hearing what he had to say. So I committed. And then that night, it blew up, and people were messaging me. Everybody was like, "You didn't tell me Kentucky was talking to you. You didn't tell me Kentucky." I was like, "I try to keep it low key. I try to keep it low key. That's kind of who I am. I don't want to, not a big social media out there." And so when that blew up, everybody was telling me that, and then the next day was wild. I had to shut my phone off because everybody. But it's all love. The amount of people contacting me, just supporting me. I really this fan base is unbelievable.
How cool is it to be coached through by Coach Pope, who obviously knows what it's like to be a big, not only college, but also the NBA? Is that helpful to you?
Yeah, it's very helpful. So I think all of our bigs, we're able to grow a very quick friendship with him, and very open with him, because, he was able to do it at the highest level. So, it's very easy to listen to somebody who's done it at the highest. He's been where we want to go. So it's very easy to just follow his lead.
Did you ever bring up those high school games against Great Crossing?
Oh, yeah. Me and him have a lot of arguments because, actually, yeah, because I feel like we played him, I guess it would have been his sophomore year, and I'd been senior, so, I ended his sophomore year, shout out Malachi Moreno, love you gang, but had to pack you up. And then, so his senior year, he beat our team to go to state. And so I always like to say, you kind of got bailed. You're lucky I wasn't there, because they had a couple shots. And, then you got to see his greatness last year in the state tournament. I feel like he really started coming into himself in that state tournament. Once he got to state, you really saw, this kid's a lottery pick. He's great, and he's learning a lot. And you know, everybody's going to look forward to watching him play.
What kind of a point guard is Jaland?
He is a true point guard. You know, people like to say like people are point guards, but you know, we got a lot of guys like him. You know, he's like just a born leader. I would like to say. You know, he's just every single day. He's practically like a coach. So he's able to just, you know, he's able to help us a lot. You know, he's only been here for a certain amount of time, but like I said earlier, it's like he's been here for a couple of years now because, you know, he's able to, you know, direct traffic and tell everybody where to go, and, you know, it's going to be really helpful, and it's going to be really special this year.
Kind of a general question just about you, for someone your size with your skill set, how do you balance wanting to step out and shoot more threes as opposed to maybe working more back to the basket type stuff?
Yeah, so a lot of it in high school was I just like kind of worked on that stuff, like the outside game, just like during practice, and just like, you know, we had a rule in practice. I wasn't able to post up because I was just so much bigger than everybody. So I feel like that really helped grow my game, to be honest with you, because you know, I used to get frustrated. I'd be like, Coach Sauls, I just want to just let me go shoot a hook shot right now. He's like, no, Reece, you'd have to do this in college. And I was like, you're right. So just, I feel like that helped grow my game a lot, and so once I got to college, that was a part of my game, and I was able to just, you know, do that right away versus, you know, having to learn it.
Is there a particular game on the schedule that you see, like, wait a minute, I can't wait for that?
I'm looking forward to all of them. I feel like, you know, our matchups, we have, you know, probably one of the best schedules in the country. You know, every single night it's going to be a battle, and we're going to come out on top every single night. But I'm really looking forward to, I wouldn't say a game, I'm really looking forward to playing in Madison Square Garden. I feel like I've never done that before. You know, I've never been to New York, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. It's a historic place, and you know, it's going to be kind of wild stepping on that court. But probably that, and then stepping into Rupp Arena for the first time is going to be wild.
Some people have talked about Brandon Garrison making kind of a jump from year 1 to year 2 here. What have you seen from him, and how has he maybe helped you out even a little bit?
He's helped me out a ton. You know, I love BG, so he's done this for a year. He's been here for a year, so he's able to, you know, he's been a really good leader for some of us newer guys this year, just helping us learn the offense quicker and the defense quicker. And you know, the coaches really expected that out of him, and he's really stepped into it this year. I feel like he's doing a great job, and so he's able to, you know, we're able to learn a lot faster right now because, you know, we only have a certain amount of coaches, so like, you know, he's, you know, taking Malachi, taking guys off the court and saying, hey, this is, you got to do this, and you know, he's done it for a year, so you know, we listen to him, and he's gonna be in the NBA in a couple of years whenever he wants to go. So you know, it's easy to, you know, like Coach Pope, it's easy to, like, you know, listen to a guy like that.
And I know obviously Jaden's not full strength or anything like that, but I'm sure you've seen some flashes of potential from him. What kind of player can he be once he's healthy?
Oh, he's going to be a monster. I feel like, you know, everybody's seen the highlights from last year, and that's what he is. You know, he's going to be very good. You know, he's special. So, you know, looking forward to it.
What are you looking most forward to? The games, the experience from the fans. What is it that excites you about this season?
I'd probably say a little bit of everything. You know, how much, like, you know, we've gelled together as a team. I'm looking forward to, you know, being with them for, you know, the rest of the year. You know, we're gonna have a lot of fun moments, you know, on the court and off the court. We're gonna have a lot of good wins. We're gonna win a national championship, and you know, we're gonna be able to, you know, hang out in the lodge, and you know, those are the memories I feel like we're all gonna remember. You know, winning number 9, and then being able to say like, hey, these are some of my best friends.
You look at that 2015 team and how deep they were, and you guys might actually be deeper. Have you ever been on this deep of a roster where everybody can play?
Yeah, it's wild how deep we are this year. So, you know, that's an emphasis this year. We're the deepest team in the country. So, you know, it's going to be kind of wild. You know, I feel like we're able to, you know, we're going to start platooning, I guess, or something like that. So, you know, it's going to be wild. You know, it's going to be really special.
You may have answered this, but growing up in Lexington, who were some of the first, like, UK memories or first players that you remember watching?
I'd probably say one of my, you know, first memories is like the John Wall Big Blue Madness. You know, him coming out to the John Wall dance that apparently wasn't even supposed to be his, so that was kind of fun. You know, growing up as a Lexington kid, I feel like every single little boy used to like do the little John Wall dance and stuff like that. And then I'd probably say another huge memory is, you know, the Harrison twins, their shots in March Madness. I feel like those were wild. You know, they were so close to, you know, winning a national championship. So, but you know, we were actually so. Those were March Madness runs were during spring break, and so me and all the other Kentucky people, we used to like hang out and go spring break. We were in like just a random like restaurant in Florida, and you know, when they hit the shots, you know, you just saw a bunch of people start screaming, and everybody's like, "Who are these nuts back here screaming for Kentucky playing?" And so, you know, that's one of my, you know, best memories for sure.
And you're going to see the Harrison twins in a couple of weeks with the TBT. Are you looking forward to that?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, hearing from these former players how special it is to play for Kentucky, and being able to see, play against them. So we're going to be able to play against them and compete against them. So that's going to be really fun.
What can you say about, the level of pressure, to perform here as opposed to where you were? And, Mark Pope said that it's different here. Have you already felt that it's just different?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's different as how much they expect, but I put a lot of pressure on myself, and so I want to say it's probably a ton different. It's a bigger university. You're competing for a national championship this year, so. But I want to say there's a lot more pressure, to be honest with you.
I don't know if you caught this, but a couple hours ago, EA Sports released something that they're gonna redo the college basketball video game. How do you think this year's team would play in a potential video game?
Man, we would definitely be one of those teams that you'd probably have to ban. I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like in college football, there was a couple schools that everybody was like, if you use those teams, you can't use those teams because they're too good. So I feel like we'd definitely probably be one of them. We're going to have all 99s probably. So we're going to be we're definitely going to be on the X list. You can't use Kentucky basketball versus me.
So what's your rating then? What would you give yourself?
99 for sure. Just being in the game would be wild. I'm really looking forward to it. Seeing all the football players last year, how happy they were to see their overalls and stuff like that. So that's gonna be fun seeing that. We're all gonna probably make jokes with each other and just different stuff.
You good, guys? Yeah, appreciate it. Appreciate it, Reece.